All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. I am excited that you all were able to come and join me for Kineo office hours today. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about forums. Hopefully you will get a little bit of knowledge that you're not familiar with. So let's get this started. So a little bit about myself. My name is Taylor Craig. I'm the Learning Platform Specialist here at Kineo. I do all things Totra training. So I work with existing clients, brand new clients, all kinds of clients in between, trying to get them up to speed on Totra and what it can do. What are Kineo office hours? They are sessions where we have about a 15-minute feature presentation, and then we open the floor for 45 minutes to each of you to ask any questions that you may have. No questions too big, no questions too small. If I don't know the answer, I bet you I know somebody who does. So please bring me your questions. So today, our feature presentation, let's go ahead and talk about this. We're going to be talking about the forum activity. There is a whole lot that you can do with the forum activity that I don't know that everybody is completely and totally fully aware of. There is an announcements forum that typically is turned off in Totra, but it is a pretty neat, unique forum that I think will be of benefit to some of you. So what you can do with an announcements forum is it is basically exactly what it sounds like. You can make announcements, but unlike most other forums, learners are not able to participate with you. So they can't come back and make comments on these announcements, but they are made aware of those announcements. So, and you can also force subscription to this announcements forum so that they receive an email as well as they see it inside of the site. A lot of times you see this announcements forum utilized pretty heavily on the front page of most Totra sites. And then sometimes you even see it down within the course. So you see it in a couple of different places. You also have what we call a single simple discussion forum. A single simple discussion is a much more streamlined type of forum, which allows you to speak with your learners and keep them speaking to a more streamlined topic. So basically, you as a teacher are giving them the topic to discuss, and then they're simply replying back to you. So we'll take a look at an example of that. A standard forum for general use, it's your typical, most popular type of forum. It is also the forum that terrifies people about forums because it can get very large. The reason it can get very large is because all learners who have access to it, they can start their own unique thoughts and ideas. So they can do anything that they want to in that basically. They can start a new question, they can reply back to one another. It's very, very, very effective when we're speaking in terms of letting learners work together and have peer question answer areas. So it's really effective in that sense, but sometimes it can grow and it can get quite large. Next, you've got your each person post one discussion. It's a lot like your standard forum for general use, but it's a lot more controlled. So typically as an instructor of a course, you would post a sounding out there saying, hey, I would like you to discuss Independence Day or whatever topic that you want them to discuss. And then they have to have their own unique thought as a initial posting, and then others can reply back to that. But they can't start as many new initial postings as they'd like. They can only start one in that case. Then we have our Q&A forum. Q&A forums are really cool. I like them personally because it makes those learners think for themselves. So basically what you do as an administrator or as an instructor, you go in and you post a question. Learners can then post their reply to that question. However, once they've posted that reply, they can't see their peers' reply until their 30-minute editing period has passed. So once that 30-minute editing period has passed, then they can see what their peers have done, which is nice. And then you also have your forum displayed in a blog-like format. That is going to look very blog-esque, allows them to, it'll give them a show more link where they can click down and see that. And we can see an example for that. So why use a forum? And why in the world are there so many different types of forums inside of Totra? The first question of why use a forum, it gets your activities much more social. It gets your site much more social. Allows people to participate, allows people to communicate. Totra is actually based on social constructivist pedagogy, which basically means learning from one another. and this opens up that discussion for you to be able to do that. So why in the world have so many types of forums? And the reason there are so many types of forums is strictly because of that standard forum for general use, which is very terrifying to a lot of people, because there is a forum for every different situation. So utilize those forums to work for you, not to make you upset with having to monitor those forums, because it can get a little daunting. So depending on your situation and depending on the outcome that you're hoping to get, you're going to pick a different type of forum. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's take a look at some different forum types, and then I'm also going to show you a unique use of forums. So right here on our front page, I mentioned the announcements forum, quote unquote. However, here you're going to see that we've renamed it to Site News. So in this, as I'm in here as an administrator, I do see the ability to edit and delete. The reason I see that is because I made the posting, right? But if I was logged in here as a learner, I wouldn't see that, but I would see this different posting right here. Okay, so I am able to see that. But let me get this pulled up over here. I think I'm still logged in as this learner. It may have kicked me out. Ah, and it did. Let me get logged back in as him. And I'll pull him across. Okay, so here we are as a learner, and he does not have the ability to do anything, but he sees this. We've made this particular one open for subscription. So he can come in and he can choose to subscribe to this forum. By choosing to subscribe to the forum, he is going to get notifications off of any new news that is posted to this announcement. So he's also going to be able to come in here and click on this and see what else is going on. He can go through all of the different site news postings. So that's something to keep in mind. However, if I wanted to, I could force subscription to that where he doesn't have a choice. He receives emails off it regardless. Now, a unique use of forums, and this has to do with altering permissions. So if you haven't worked with permissions ever in the past, then this may not make sense to you. But if you have worked with permissions, essentially every role inside of Totara works on a set of permissions. And you can adjust and maneuver those permissions to allow those people to do what you would like them to do, basically. And what I've done here is I've put a standard forum for general use on the front page of my site. And I've called it the Learner Lounge. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm allowing learners to come in and ask each other different types of questions. Just basic company questions. And you'll see here we've got employee seminar. Gary Fisher has asked about that. Aaron Hart is wondering, where do I need to pick up my employee shirt? So we're getting just basic types of questions. So if we go in here and we click on this, I'm in here as Aaron Hart. He asks, where can we pick up our new company shirts? And Birdie has come back and she says, in Hope's office. So she's let him know where that's going to be. Now, one thing that we did here also is we went in and we created a custom scale. So I created a custom scale so that I could allow my learners to rate one another. But instead of rating each other in a grading type of sense, what we're doing here is we're rating based on, hey, that was really helpful. So you answered my question. You didn't give me a whole lot of detail, but I know where Hope's office is, so I understand what you're saying. So you answered my question. But he could come in here and he could rate her otherwise and say, well, that wasn't helpful at all. So that's what we've done here. We've added a custom scale to allow people to kind of give each other kind of that like, don't like. Oh, that's a new big thing with Facebook now, right? They're adding a dislike button. So kind of sort of like that, but in a different kind of way. So if we go in here to Gary Fisher's posting, we see that he's asking where the employee seminar is going to be held, and we see that Birdie has come back and given a very detailed answer to Gary. And 2 people have rated that as incredibly helpful. When Aaron clicks on this, he gets a nice neat little pop-up letting him know who else found it helpful. Okay, so just kind of a cool thing that you can do with forums that I don't think people are completely aware of, but you can also set forums up even down at the course level to allow peer rating. This kind of gets people more involved. It gets them starting to work inside of those forums a little bit more, and you know, if you're going to be rated by your peers, you may be more apt to do something well inside of that forum versus just giving a quick little answer. So let's take a look at all the different forum types that we discussed earlier. So I'm going to go back into my beloved Totara Course Basics course where I have a little bit of everything. And in here we have our single simple discussion, just so you can kind of get a vibe and a feel for what that looks like. So in this particular case, as an instructor, I've come in and I've posted a discussion topic, and my learner has come back and he has given me a very short, very sweet, my reply. He's posted this in here and given me this. Now you notice that he has maximum rating here, but nobody's rated him. In this particular situation, it's set up where the instructor or administrators would be the ones rating him. He would not be able to rate himself, nor would his peers be able to rate him in this instance. So let's go back into the course and take a look at our standard forum for general use, which is what we were seeing on the front page. But in this case, they always see this add a new discussion topic button, and they can begin their topic. Okay, so he can post in here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, he can choose if he wants to subscribe to his own posting or if he wants to subscribe to the forum as a whole. So you have options there as far as how you're subscribing to these forums. In this case, he would be asking for notifications to post in this particular forum. So he would be subscribing to that forum. And then we have our attachments. So he can drag and drop attachments. I believe you can add up to 99 attachments. I really don't know why they didn't just go all the way to 100, but I'm guessing it's a data table thing. So you can add up to 99 attachments to this, and you can drag and drop them and post them into the forum. Those will appear just as links kind of up in the upper right-hand corner there, where people are able to click and download those. So that's what that would do in that instance. So let's go back into our Course Basics course and take a look at our each person posts one discussion forum. This is a little bit different. It does look a whole lot the same in the sense that we do have this add a new discussion topic button. However, once I come in and I make my posting, I'm going to see that that button goes away. So I'm going to post to this forum. I see, if you'll notice, we're getting these messages. You have 30 minutes to edit if you want to make changes. That's going to become pretty helpful and important here in just a moment when we get into that Q&A session. Now, if you'll notice, that single simple discussion, that post a new discussion button, it went away. So I'm only able to give my initial feedback, my initial thought. I'm able to post that in, and then I'm able to reply. I'm able to do whatever I want to do at that point, but I can't begin a new thought process inside of that forum. One other thing I want to point out on that particular screen, you'll see that this particular one says it has a limit to the number of forum postings that you can make in a day or in a given time period. So this particular one is letting me know that I can make 3 postings in one day. That qualifies for every single time I hit submit. So if I realize that I misspelled a word or I needed to change something, I can actually go back in and click and make my change, but that's going to count towards my submissions. We like to use this to kind of slow people down on their forum posting. You may notice that some people who are not as active and engaged in an actual face-to-face sit-down with you session may actually be a little more engaged on a forum type basis. So if you need to kind of slow down their postings, you can do that by turning this restriction on here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this Q&A forum. Q&A, really cool. In this case, we have 2 different questions that have been posed by the administrator. And as a learner, I can go in and take a look at these questions. And you're going to notice this. So I see subject hidden, author hidden. This post can't be viewed by you, probably because you have not posted in the discussion. Maximum editing time hasn't passed yet, and the discussion hasn't started or it's expired. So in this particular case, I just haven't participated. And so once I participate and once 30 minutes passes, then I should be able to come back in here and see who made this posting and what they said. Basically, the purpose of this forum is to make people think for themselves and also intrigue them to come back and actually participate and see what their peers are saying. So a good use for this might be to turn on peer rating, actually, where learners have to post their own thought and then come back and actually rate their peers and see what their peers are doing at that point. So it's a good way to get people engaged and keep them engaged in that sense. And let's take a look real quick at our blog-like format. So taking a look at this one, they're able to see it shows word count, and it only gives them the ability to reply or comment to this. So very similar but to your standard form for general use, but it is a little more bloggy in the sense of that it gives you the word count, it gives you this reply button in this way. So it does look a bit different, and it's primarily just a look, and gives you that course-centric blogging feature. There is blogging features available at the system level, but if you're wanting it more down at the course level, this would be the route to take. All right, guys. So that is about all I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions? Turning it back over to you.